Hello everybody, and welcome to Age UK Croydon's annual public event. I'm Jill Kine, CEO here at Age UK Croydon, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be hosting our first Zoom webinar this way and to share some good news and new initiatives with you today. This year is obviously a little different than in past years. We would normally be in our community hall in Brigstock Road, Thornton Heath, and meeting old friends and new and sharing great stories together. But we are delighted to be doing it on Zoom. Please bear with us. It is our first time of doing this, so we may make a few hiccups on the way. And before I begin, I have a few housekeeping points. As this is a webinar, it is being recorded. However, you will be held on mute and your face won't be visible. If you'd like to submit a question or make a comment, and we'd love you to, please enter it into the Q&A box. We'll come back to them at the end. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge a few distinguished guests who are with us today. So firstly, the Worshipful, the Mayor of Croydon, Councillor Maddie Henson, who'll be speaking later. Councillor Margaret Bird, Councillor Manju Shahul Hamid, and Councillor Pat Clowder. And we're also joined by our speaker, Dr. Neil Gorborn, Director of Integration at Croydon Health Services NHS Trust. I'm very grateful to Neil for joining us today. He stepped in at the last minute to cover for Matthew Kershaw, CEO at the Trust. You may have noticed there's a little bit of a vaccination programme going on today at the hospital, and therefore Matthew is understandably busy. But we're also very proud to say that we've been working with the hospital and our colleagues at the Alliance over the weekend, and we've got several of our clients going into the hospital today and through this week to support the initiative and personally to get them vaccinated. So we're really enthusiastic about supporting this programme as it rolls out. So to kick it off, I wanted to share a short video that outlines why we're all here today.
I'm a people watcher. I open my blinds so I can see people going past if I'm sitting in the lounge. Quite a few of them have started back to work again.
We used to go fishing, but of course she got that bad that she didn't know what she was doing half time anyway. We found out she had dementia and that was the end of the story really.
A lady from Age does ring me up most weeks, see if I'm okay and if I need anything.
They've been brilliant, not just in the virus, but in years before that. When you need them, they're there.
No, it was like really hard when Jess went into the care home, wasn't it?
We've been stuck together like glue, really, for 60-odd years. I used to go down and see her 5 days out of 7. Then they locked down and that was the end of that story. Even now, sometimes I sit here and I can see her little face and I'll think to myself, I wonder if she thinks that I've abandoned her, you know.
The first thing I'd like to do is go out to lunch with my grandson.
What's the first thing you're going to say to Jess when you see her again?
Oh, I should tell her I love her to bits. Well, I really will.
There we go. I didn't unmute, so we'll try again. So that is a very powerful video and a real reminder of the challenges that older people face. And it really sets the context for the work that we're doing to support so many older people across the borough. And that's the reason we're all gathered here today, because we all have an interest in the work that Age UK Croydon does. Whether you're one of our clients, whether some of you are volunteering with us to really help us reach more people, whether you fund the work we do, or whether you're a partner or an organisation that we work with. This meeting is not just a chance for us to share all the great things we've been doing, although there will be a little bit of that, but it's also an opportunity for us to come together and reflect on a year like no other, where really the spirit and desire of organisations to work together has been what has really set this year out for me, and it will be my abiding memory as I look back. So we've worked with CVA to set up a telephone befriending helpline. We've referred over 85 clients to it, and they now have somebody giving them a regular call and companionship. We worked with lots of volunteers and organised at local businesses when the first lockdown started, setting up a food and essentials hub. We had over 200 inquiries to help, which then turned into 30 regular volunteers. Some of them have remained with us, and we really value the support they've given us. In that first 15 weeks of lockdown, we made 575 deliveries to over 300 households. And as well as packing bags, I remember the stories from the volunteers of the conversations they had with lonely older people on doorsteps and the impact that those deliveries made to them. We ran our first online exercise class on Zoom in May, and never let anybody tell you that frail older people cannot get online. They can. We now have 7 regular online classes varying from Tai Chi to chair-based exercise. We also run virtual memory tree cafes supporting those clients who have a diagnosis of dementia and their carers. And we regularly survey our clients to ensure we understand the impact we make on them and to learn more from them. So to give you a snapshot of some of those statistics, 100% of our healthier lifestyles clients say that the social aspect of the exercise classes has improved their well-being. 95% of people who have a regular befriender tell us they feel less lonely, and that's an incredible statistic right now. 95% of people who work with our full service say they are now more confident about safety in their home. And 100% of people who work with our personal independence coordinator programme would recommend the service to friends and family. So I'm sure you'd all agree those are fantastic statistics, and I'd really like to thank the staff and the volunteers who make it all possible. So it's been a very tough year for many, and a very strange one for me. I used to be the treasurer here at Age UK Croydon. I handed over the reins to Umesh back in 2017. And in late February, I came and decided to stand in as CEO for this organisation just for a year, covering Kate Pierpoint's maternity leave. That was a bit of a baptism on fire. And I can truly say it's been a challenging year for staff, volunteers, and of course for our clients. So although we're not out of the woods yet, I'd really like to reflect back on 2020 and to thank everybody, our funders, our volunteers and our staff for everything they've done for us. So I'd like to share the agenda now. It will be a short one. We know we're all zoomed out, but in a moment we'll be hearing from our chair, Deborah McCluskey, who will introduce our annual report. We'll then hear from Dr. Neil Goulbourne about the ways we're continuing to connect together and the importance of that to everyone in the community. We then have a special recorded message from Alan Titchmarsh, I can never say that, Alan Titchmarsh, who worked with us last year to transform our garden. We'll then hear from Joe Dunbar, our communications manager, about some new activities that we're launching today. And finally, we'll hear from Madam Mayor, Councillor Maddie Henson, who will be adding her own words of support. So now I'd like to hand over to Deborah to introduce our annual report.
Hi everybody, thank you Jill, and really pleased to be with you all today. I'm really delighted to be introducing the 2019-2020 annual report. But before I do that, I just want to put a little bit of colour on not so small a point. Jill mentioned that she joined us this year to cover Kate's maternity leave, and it's true. In fact, her first day was, I think, the 25th of February 2020, just as we were starting to understand the enormity of the pandemic. And to take the reins, channeling my Jonathan Van Tam here, to take the reins of the horse and carriage, which is already moving, just at the point when the horses are trying to break into a fast gallop in a direction that you didn't expect, to steer it through the undergrowth and back onto firmer ground is something that nobody should underestimate. And on behalf of the trustees, I really just want to take a moment now to thank Jill for her amazing stewardship through all of this year. It's made us feel very confident, and it's helped our staff and volunteers to do what they do best, which is to help and support the older people of Croydon in what has been a very difficult year. So thank you, Jill, and thank you everybody at AGK Croydon. So it's not the year we were expecting. This is actually our 25th anniversary. And we did have some celebrations planned. I'm sure the garden would have come into it somewhere along the line, but sadly it wasn't to be. But even before the pandemic kicked in, and we have to realise there were 10 months of the year that we're reviewing today, which were before the pandemic. If anybody can remember that far back, well done. You may remember that we used to make a lot of our services from our Catherine Street office. But in the last 2 years, we've been much more aligning ourselves much more to Croydon's locality model. And just to explain a little bit about the localities model, what it means instead of people coming to us, there's a really big move for us to go to people, to deliver our services closer to them in their community, and to fit our services to their lifestyle rather than expecting people to join in what we do. In organisational speak, it means that we need to be dynamic, it means we need to be flexible, and it means we need to listen. It's what we say when we describe ourselves as being person-centred. And that's really difficult when demand and the associated need is increasing, which it most certainly is. In Croydon today, there are 126,000 people over 50. And by 2041, which is not that far away, that will have risen to 175,000. Today in Croydon, there are 53,000 people over 65. And by 2041, that will have risen to 90,000. Croydon as a borough is in the top 20% of the most deprived areas nationwide. And there are pockets, such as Thornton Heath, where we're headquartered, which are in the top 5% of most deprived areas in our country. So it's clear that we can't meet need on our own. And to try and address the issues, we choose partnership and collaboration, both locally and nationally. Jill's already mentioned that we work with our voluntary sector teammates. We're also members of the One Croydon Alliance, and Dr. Neil Goulbourne will be saying more about that later. And we're also members of the Age UK family, where we get the nationwide perspective and either import it directly or adapt it to the local context as required. So there are external contacts, and we feel very reassured by those connections that we have. But internally, we continue to build our volunteering effort to engender the community spirit that Jill has mentioned, to use collective power to reach as many people as possible. And I'm really pleased that this year that our report has showcased, or does showcase, the work of our volunteers and the tremendous value they add to our organisation. Our services will continue to evolve as the new circumstances develop, and some we can see, some circumstances we don't know yet. But certainly getting people digitally connected got a turbocharge this year. And while that was fantastic, it's great to see what was developed. It does throw up some unintended consequences. So we're seeing increased isolation and poorer mental health as people spend more and more time on their own. And we need to balance the new methods of reaching people with against some of the issues that just haven't gone away and won't go away. It's often said that charities should work themselves out of business. Sadly, we don't see that happening anytime soon. And so we're positioning ourselves for the next 25 years. And on that note, I couldn't end without mentioning funding. Our income in 2019-2020 was the same as 2018-19, about 1.8 million. That's a huge amount of money, but I think it's a reflection on the amount of work that is needed to be done. The pandemic is challenging us to be creative about how we use that. And I'm delighted that our report highlights in much more detail how we're responding. I can't do any justice to that in a 5-minute slot today. I hope you have a look at the report. It will be on our website tomorrow morning. I hope you find it interesting and inspiring. And if it inspires you to get in touch with us, please do. We'd be delighted to hear from you and to extend how and who we work with. Thanks for listening today. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Neil Goulbourne, Director of Integration, Croydon Health Services NHS Trust.
Hello, Deborah, and hello, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for the introduction, and I'm delighted to be here. Age UK Croydon is one of our closest partners, and I know Matthew, our Chief Exec, was very keen to be here, but as Jill said, there's a lot going on today, and I think it is worth reflecting on the significance of today. The rollout of the vaccine is really going to start to turn the tide on the pandemic that has been a feature of our lives for what feels like a very, very long time now. It's a very busy day here, and Matthew sends his best regards. But I did just want to step back a little and think about the kind of context of the work that we do together. So Croydon Health Services, Age UK Croydon, and our many partners in health and care. Because of course the traditional model of healthcare was always about fixing individual problems, a broken leg, a heart attack, and so on. And that's really the way in which health and care was so often designed. But of course, we know that that just isn't the way it is for most people anymore. It's a good thing, of course, that we have a population that is growing in Croydon, but also that many people live longer than they used to. Those are all positive things. But what it does mean is that people often have a range of long-term conditions like high blood pressure or diabetes, and they'll have those for most of their lives in many cases, and those things can't be cured. So what it means is that we need to work differently. We need to work in partnership, and we need to work across the traditional boundaries that all too often still define the way in which we deliver care. So that's why we formed the One Croydon Alliance together with Age UK, the Council and other partners here a number of years ago, and it's something we should continue to be really proud of. The work we've been doing together is to change how we deliver care. As I've said, to do that in partnership, to think much more about how we prevent ill health in the first place, And for people when they do have health and care needs, to make sure that they get care from teams of people. So doctors and nurses, of course, yes, but also physiotherapists, the voluntary sector, social workers, all working together as one team around the needs of people and their families. So the integrated care networks that we've started to form are our version of those multidisciplinary teams. And we've got the first of them in Thornton Heath. That's our pilot project. And we're going to have the same model in the 6 localities around Croydon over the next year or so. It's a really radical thing to do, and we can only do it because we work so closely together in partnership. So I suppose I just wanted to say one more thing before I end. I think it's easy sometimes when you work in a system to take for granted the things that define it. But I came to work in Croydon back in February, and I came because of the really close working relationship between the different partners. And I want to pay tribute to colleagues from Age UK Croydon, because you're a really big part of having made the health and care system in Croydon what it is now. And you continue to be really key leaders in bringing care together, joining it up around the needs that people have on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for everything that you do with us. We are really excited about all the things we can continue to do together, and I'm grateful for all of your support on a daily basis. I've got to drop off, unfortunately, in a second, because I also have to get back to some of the day job. But thank you very much for having me today. If anybody who's dialed in to the call has any questions, I'd be really happy to answer them at a later stage. And I know Jill and colleagues will pass them on to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you very much for those kind words. The joined up approach that we have across the Alliance is absolutely key, as budgets will be squeezed and there will be more pressure on the voluntary sector going forward. We're very proud to be a founding member of the One Croydon Alliance, and we really enjoy working with our colleagues at the Trust, at the Council, and indeed with all the GPs that we work with across the borough. So now I'm very proud to also introduce our next special guest, Alan Titchmarsh. In September 2019, Age UK Croydon was very lucky to be selected by ITV's Love Your Garden to receive a makeover of our community garden in Thornton Heath. And you can see now on the screen some before and after photos. If you haven't seen the programme yet, I'd really encourage you to watch it. It was aired just before lockdown and is a fantastic reflection on the impact actually that lockdown has on people. But as you can see, we've moved from, well, it was terrible, but from a terrible wasteland to this beautiful urban oasis. And I'd also like to thank the ongoing volunteers who continue to come into the garden, despite the fact that we can't use it, we can't really share it with you, and keep it looking fantastic. It's fair to say in winter it doesn't look quite this good, but it will look this good again as we come out the other side in spring. It is a fantastic place and we look forward to inviting you all there.
Hello, this is Alan Titchmarsh. Remember me from when I came to see you at Thornton Heath? Special day it was for us, special days building that garden, particularly special to meet Annette, Elsie and Esme. And I hear that you're keeping that garden in really fine fettle, for which my enormous gratitude and congratulations. Do you know, it was so special, particularly special, doing a garden for people whose lives really would be changed by it. I've always maintained that gardens not only improve lives, but change them for the better. And they enable us in most years to share the company and social pleasures of others. It's been a challenging year this year, and I know how difficult it must have been for you. But the great thing about gardens is that they last from year to year. And next year, the sun will come out, you'll all be out there, and I shall be with you in spirit. So congratulations from me, keep enjoying your garden, and a very Merry Christmas.
Wow, how do I follow that? Huh? How does anybody follow a national treasure like Alan Titchmarsh? Well, first, let me just introduce myself. My name is Jo Dunbar, and I am the Communications Manager here at AGK Croydon. That video is very special to me. It was an amazing project for all of us here to work on and be involved with. And it is so lovely to hear Esme, Elsie and Annette get a special mention on that video. They really were the stars of the show. And in fact, you will see a lovely picture of Annette on the front cover of our annual report. And she is sitting in our wonderful garden. I am very, very proud that we managed to convince Alan and the team to come and overhaul our garden space. As you saw in those photos, it was a bit of a wasteland, and give us the most spectacular garden at our community hall. I know that anyone on the call here today that was at the grand unveiling will agree it was a pretty special event. And just can't wait to share it with you again. And I think Alan says it so nicely, about us coming back together and using that space to enjoy each other's company. So I thought the only way to follow a national treasure would be to introduce and launch some new initiatives. So I've got not one, not two, but 3 new things to share with you today. So I'm going to tell you about our festive events. I'm going to talk about our newsletter, and I'm going to launch our festive Just Giving campaign. So firstly, I'm very, very pleased to share with you our festive events calendar. We've got a huge variety of fun and interactive events for people to join. We've got over 40 different events running in December and at the beginning of January. We've got percussion sessions, a book club, talks from the museum in Croydon. We've got exercise classes. I am personally hosting an event on Christmas Day itself. So if anybody would like to join me for a Bucks Fizz on Christmas morning, please do. And Jill will be hosting a quiz on Boxing Day morning. So if you would like to test yourself on your general knowledge, please join Jill on Boxing Day. On a serious note, though, this calendar of events is incredibly important. We know that the festive period can be a very lonely time for people, and this year, goodness, more than ever. So we do want to be able to spread the word about the events that we're running. Everyone is welcome. So please share as far and wide as you all can. The events are running from the 21st of December to the 4th of January. So there'll be something every day. So the second thing I get to launch is our new Friends of Age UK Croydon newsletter. All of you will receive it tomorrow, and that will signpost you to the events calendar, and it will link you up to our annual report and a few other bits and pieces of news and information about the things that we do. So again, please share that with people. I hope you find it interesting. So please share it with others, and anybody is very welcome to sign up and be a friend of ours at any point. And finally, we are just launching our festive Just Giving campaign. And as Deborah said, funding continues to stay at the forefront of our minds. And this campaign really just plays a small part in, getting us some additional funding to make sure that we can carry on doing things like the festive events calendar, and just making sure that we are, and continue to be here for the people that need us. So £10 would go towards an older person receiving a call at home, a home visit from somebody for some companionship. If you're feeling a little bit more generous, then £50 would help us to train some more volunteers to help get older people online, so help training older people to get online. And if you're feeling really flush, then £500 would help us buy some kits, so some tablets and some Wi-Fi connectivity, again, so that people can be a little bit more connected with their community, join the activities that they enjoy, and connect with their friends and family. So hopefully you will see the link to our festive Just Giving campaign, well, everywhere, certainly on our website, on our social media. Again, please, we'd be delighted if you could share that and if you were able to contribute. So please do spread the word. So we've got our festive events calendar. Let's get as many people there as possible. We've got our newsletter, so expect to see that in your inboxes in the morning. And we've got our Just Giving campaign. So thank you so much for your support. And one final note, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to the volunteers that help make all of this stuff happen. Just absolutely so grateful. They bring with them such amazing expertise and experience. So just thank you so much.
Thanks, Jo. Yes, I mean, we can never say enough thanks to all the volunteers that we have across Age UK Croydon. And I'm really glad that we're able to share things more in a better way using both social media but also our new newsletter. And I hope you enjoy reading it. Do let us know what you think. So now I'd like to hand over to Madam Mayor, Councillor Maddie Henson, who has very kindly agreed to share some thoughts with us. Over to you, Maddie.
Hi, thank you so much, Jill. Sorry about the slight noise in the background. Sorry to keep turning my screen on and off. That's because my eldest is currently isolating due to an exposure at school. He's actually fine, shows no symptoms at all, but doing the right thing and staying home. I mean, I'd occasionally just nip out just to make sure that the two little ones weren't actually killing each other or writing on the walls. But I'm with you now, and thank you so much for the invitation. Theo, I'm in a meeting. Right on cue, they come in the room. Boys, meeting out. The way of the modern world quite literally played out in seconds. That's the one thing I definitely will miss about Zoom meetings, is the fun that comes with the slight chaos of them and trying to multitask. I've got a few notes I jotted down for this because I was really looking forward to this opportunity, but to be honest with you, they don't really cover it. I realised they were not going to cover it from the moment that I saw that video, and I don't know if there's any reason anyone would be watching my video, but I was quite choked up. So it took me a moment just to kind of recover myself. I was quite glad I didn't have to speak at the beginning. The truth is, as they'll tell you, a great advocate for Age UK. I have seen the amazing work that you guys do for many years now. I've had the pleasure of being a councillor in Croydon for 6 years. And there are certain groups and people that stick out to you, and Age UK is most definitely one of them. So I was really, really thrilled when Jill agreed to meet up and have a catch up very soon after I was made mayor. And I had the opportunity of working on another project, which we're slowly putting together with from one of my actual chosen charities, Home Start, which is from the idea being of linking up from people from combating loneliness for some of the service users of Age UK, and also giving them the opportunity to provide the advice that new parents need, the ones that use Home Start. So it's a really good example of how people in the community can be paired up to help each other. I've also had the opportunity of attending virtually one of your coffee mornings with the food bank that you guys ran during the pandemic. One of my projects as mayor is that I went and visited as many of the food banks as I possibly could, just to say thank you, because that work is what really did carry us through the pandemic and is carrying us through the fallout now. And there is no way I can express the gratitude Croydon and the council feels for the partnership working we've got. Obviously, people talked quite understandably and rightly about the power of the One Croydon Alliance. It's an award-winning service, and it should be. And nowhere was it shown more true than in Croydon during the pandemic. The power that had that close working relationship really does make. I had no idea it was 575 deliveries. I wrote that figure down while we're talking. That's an absolutely extraordinary number. I can't thank you all enough. So as you can tell, I'm still a little bit choked up, so I'm kind of stumbling over my own words because I'm quite emotional. But I did want to look to the future a little bit. As has been said, Croydon's struggling financially. We've got our own challenges at the moment, but you guys and the response and the support and the reach out that's happened as a result of that, despite every other challenge that we've all focused, has been really heartwarming. And Croydon always bounces back stronger from every adversity that is presented to it. When I was made mayor, you have us make a speech to accept the role, known as your inaugural address. And one of the things that I said at the end is that the pandemic has brought out the best and the worst in humanity. And the work that you guys have done is the best of humanity. And when we eventually do make our way through all of this, I want it to look back as not just a sad time. I want it to look back at as the time when realization happened, the value that volunteers and the emergency services and everybody else really came together, and when they recognized the work that you do. And as we've said, we're beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. The vaccinations are coming. In Croydon, they've actually come, and it's one of my proudest things for our history in Croydon that we were chosen as one of the centres. So thank you all so much, and keep up the good work. I'm here for you as long as you'll have me. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much. Yes, it was very hard to follow that video. So, and very hard to follow your very kind words. And we've really enjoyed it, and particularly the partnership that you linked us up with Home Start. You know, it's early days, but we really see some great opportunities for that intergenerational working together, sharing experiences, and supporting each other again across the community. So throughout today, we've talked about the importance of partnerships, working with like-minded organisations to meet the ever-growing demand for our services. As we emerge from the pandemic, there are likely to be greater pressures on the statutory services, which in turn will lead to pressure on the voluntary sector. And we recognise that we are a large charity in Croydon, and we understand the role we play working with others to make sure we achieve the best outcomes for older people. But it's not a competition. With an ageing population, we need to work together, harness our collective power, and support as many people as we can. I really hope you've enjoyed our sessions today and have some food for thought. We're really interested in finding new opportunities to work with new partners, so please do get in touch with us. You can share your details with us in a survey that will come out after this meeting, but you can always contact us via our website. There are all our contact details there. And thank you everybody for attending today. Thank you for your support. And again, I'd like to thank our staff, our volunteers, everybody who works with us, and in particular our trustees who support us all the time through all the ups and downs that we have in delivering our services to older people. So now I think we're going to move to see if we've got anything in the Q&A, Jo.
We are. Hang on one second. Yes, okay, so we've got a question in that says, what are the main challenges that your clients are facing right now?
I think we've talked quite a bit today about isolation and loneliness. That is certainly one of the biggest issues that still faces our clients, despite right at the beginning lockdown, that was clearly a huge issue. There was an immediate need for food, for access to food, immediate need to work out how to make things work when you couldn't leave the house. But that has now transferred into ongoing isolation. And even with some of the loosening that comes over Christmas, that's not going to solve that problem. So I think that was one element. And for us, it's morphed into this real focus that we've now started to deliver around digital isolation. A lot of older people didn't need to connect digitally because they had friends and family around, they had the telephone, that worked for them. But actually getting people online, getting them into Zoom exercise classes, getting them able to shop online, it's been absolutely vital. So another real challenge that particularly in Croydon, in some of the areas we work, particularly where there's areas of deprivation, is getting people online. It's not just about teaching them how to use things, it's actually about sourcing the equipment, sourcing the broadband now for them. So that's something that we're really focused on, and later this week we will actually be launching another project that we've been working on with Croydon Council and Leeds Council all around how to deliver digital isolation or digital inclusion projects using a toolkit, launching a toolkit that will be accessible to councils across the UK and to voluntary sector partners. So we're really proud to be working on that. But I think those two things are the things that I see right now as the real challenges for our clients.
Great, thanks. And just one other question that's, I guess, kind of linked to that. What will you do with the money that you raise from your festive Just Giving campaign?
Well, the world's the oyster, isn't it, really? You know, we can never, I know Deborah talked about a large sum of money, but we can never have enough money. There are so many things we'd like to do. If we look at our festive events calendar, one of the things I would like to ensure is that that doesn't stop on the 4th of January, that we continue to develop and run lots of things. Many of those things don't cost us anything, if anything, to do, because we have so many partners who we want to support. But we have to recognise that across the voluntary sector and across that wider community sector, we do need funding. You know, people need to be able to pay for their Zoom licenses. We need to be able to support people who want to come and work with us and share their expertise. Now, this isn't all for free. So small amounts of money can really build up very quickly if we want to deliver an ongoing events calendar. So that would be one area. If we've got larger sums of money, it would be about, for example, extending our dementia cafes. We currently run several of them. We run Saturday cafes as well. We'd like to do more. Again, dementia is an area where there's ever-growing need, and there will be ever-growing need in terms of the cuts that have to take place across Croydon in terms of some of the services. We would like to support more people, particularly in the earlier stages of dementia, where they can engage with us in a cafe. So that would be something we would love to run more of those. So for everything that we do, we could do more. But I think, you know, if we look at this campaign at the moment, it's very much focused on delivering all of those events and continuing that programme so that it brings more and more people into working with us in on fun things that make older life more fun.
Fab. And we've just had two comments in. So thank you. One from Yvette Hopley. So thank you for all your hard work. It's much appreciated. That's from Councillor Yvette Hopley. And an anonymous message just saying thank you very much to everyone, staff and service users. It's been a difficult time and you've made it easier to manage. So lovely. Thank you so much for those comments.
Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you all for attending, sticking with us through our Zoom webinar. Look out for our annual report. It does have lots of great stories in it. One of the things I'd like to thank Joan in particular as our communications manager. She does a fabulous job of turning all the stories that we get from our staff and volunteers into great case stories that we can showcase with all of you. So do take a time. It's a riveting read from start to finish, even the numbers at the end. And I say that as an ex-treasurer. I love the numbers bit. So please do join in reading in the annual report. Do comment. Do let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the newsletter, and do share everything. You know, we'd love you to share. Particularly, I would personally love you to share our Just Giving fundraiser as far and wide as you can, but I know it's a difficult time for everybody, and there's an awful lot of charities looking for fundraising right now, so we appreciate anything that anybody can do to help us. So with that, it just leaves it to me, I think, to close the meeting, to say thank you very much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully this time next year everybody will be in Brigstock Road and we'll be having parties there. Who knows? So thank you all, and goodbye.